This week on the UFL Podcast, crazy coaching changes, a trade, and episode 100. It is episode 100, the century mark of the UFL Podcast, and it starts right now.
1, 2, 3.
Everybody to the UFL Podcast. I am Zach Kyleman, sitting in the seat as, well, sometimes, and next to me, of course, in the big shebang, the penultimate episode, if you will. It is the ref on the opposite side. And before we even go further, ladies and gentlemen, I can't believe I'm saying this, but we have made it to episode 100. Woo! We've done it, everybody.
It finally happened.
Yeah! Let's go! That's what I'm saying. We have made it to the century mark. It's hard to believe. It's been 4 years in the making. But, Stefan, we've done it.
We made it.
We've finally hit that. And, not to give too much away before I let you talk, we've got a special video one of us will be dropping later this week. Just kind of looking back a little. But for now, we're in the present. 100 episodes, my friend. Did you think we'd make it? I thought we were going to get here.
I knew we would get here. I knew it would happen one of these days. I knew just it would come. And you know what? We finally made it. Some people thought it would never happen. Part of me wanted to just keep dragging it out as long as we could just to build it up. But if you look at it in all reality, we've actually done way more than 100 episodes. If you count spring stock and summer stock and all of these other like end of year streams, and then the Christmas streams and the New Year's streams and the live streams for the drafts, we probably hit like 100 episodes. Quite not to even mention ATU and all of these other things. Like,
shoot, man, this show alone, we probably hit, I'd say 110 or so by the now with all the extras. But man, ATU, I mean, talk about that. We're gonna have to start putting a count on that, because we're starting to put down and lay down some episodes there too. But This is the OG. This is the original, the one that spawned it all on this channel. And we're glad to hit 100 episodes. We're glad you're along for it too. For any of those that have been through the entire ride, we owe your thanks a ton. For anyone that's joining on the 100th episode, welcome aboard. We ain't stopping yet. No train ending their journey in the station. We are leaving the station and heading to a wondrous new destination down the road for many episodes ahead. But yeah, episode 100's here, everybody. Thank you all for at least my little spiel on this. Thank you all for tuning in. You guys have been great. 3,500 subs and counting for this show. Many 1,000 followers on social. Many hours watched. We appreciate it. You guys rock. You're the ones that make us keep coming back.
100%, Zachy boy. I'm telling you, one of my favorite things to do every time we do any of our live shows is to meet the people that listen, meet people that don't even know about our show, that are learning about our show for the first time. Just having an opportunity to travel and meet people that you've met online. This is really what it's all about. It's all about the spring football community. That's why it's spring stock, Zach. That's why we have it spring stock. If we look back at what spring stock was, if we just go into the time machine, it was, the USFL, they were playing all 8 teams in one location. And so spring stock was the spring football community traveling from all over the country to the one central hub for the USFL. And I think that really kind of kicked off what this mission statement was. Signing people's silly USFL podcast cards and all that stuff is amazing. And yeah, I can't wait to do more episodes. I can't wait till the next summer stock. I can't wait till hopefully a spring stock 5 and, all the things that are yet to come. And of course, ATU and Pro Football Newsroom. And who knows what else we got up our sleeves. I mean, we got all sorts of things in motion, and there's all sorts of things in the works always. And me, Zach, even if I'm killing myself at work, I'm going to be working on some project one way or another.
I know you.
So, which I did work on finally. I've had a concept for a thing, and I worked on like a set design for it for I'll share it with you after the fact. It's okay. It's really neat, Zach. Actually, I'll spill the beans on one of the things. So the frame for me is a CRT TV, right? That
All
in
right.
itself is cool. But what I did is I found a picture of a CRT TV and cropped out the screen
Ooh.
and overlaid the screen as a separate layer above my camera on like a 10% opacity. So
Mhm.
you see the slight glare of the CRT screen over my camera.
Not
It
bad.
actually looks pretty dope, dude. It looks pretty sweet.
I like the sound of this. I'm definitely thrilled to see where this project goes.
I don't even know what it's going to be, but I have a cool little frame for it.
Oh, that's going to be good. I'm going to have to ask you on the side about that. One thing, I'm sad I didn't get these up, by the way. We're talking sets. I've got your 2 banners that you lent me from summer stocks and spring stocks past. Just hasn't been hung up yet. That hopefully by next episode, you'll see this transformed. It won't be as glorious as this TV setup, I'll mind you, but it will be great to have some memories up of years past gone by. Good times.
I'm glad you're taking your time because I still don't have that ref shirt sitting up on my wall. It's still sitting there right there. So.
In fact, I can see it on frame if you're looking closely.
Yes, yes, exactly. So yeah, don't feel bad, Zachy boy. This has been like since Christmas, so it's pushing on like 4 months on that. So we'll get there one of these days.
It'll be on when it's on. It's going to be up there. You'll see it come up. Speaking of the comeuppance, we talk a lot about coaches on this show, and a lot of times, kind of seeing who goes where, maybe some moves and changes. This year's been kind of wacky because of the DC Defenders' whole coaching staff basically going to be their main people leaving for Tennessee State with Reggie Barlow. But also, while we do have more news on that, I think the bigger one that most people are kind of blown up by, and as we hinted at with this episode today, over in San Antonio, AJ Smith, Wonderkin Air Raid offensive coordinator, tech-friendly offensive coordinator, he is walking. He is stepping away from the San Antonio Brahmas mid-season here after week 2. And we got a lot of updates from Wade Phillips on specifically who is to what on this whole thing, what moves are going to be done. But here's the thing here. Initial reactions, Stefan. I mean, look, I know it hasn't been pretty the last 3 games if we're talking production, but this guy has a proven track record in this space. So kind of surprising that for someone who had a lot of momentum for a name in this league, that he's saying, look, I'm out.
It's interesting. I'll say it's interesting. It feels like there's a story behind the scenes. I don't know if the story's fully out there. There is people commenting on it. We have seen Brandon Silvers chiming in, not just on this, but a few things in the recent past around the UFL and even just the move of like the Roughnecks over to San Antonio and that whole schmaz. But, he commented on this situation. He says, this is what happens when you have no say in personnel and people trying to switch up your system when it's worked for years. Now, I made a joke on Around the UFL this Monday, and I'm not going to mention what joke it is because it's going to point out exactly what it is. But if a wise man would put 2 and 2 together, and I think it's funny, right? Because we have Brandon Silvers coming to bat for AJ Smith, which I think you had mentioned. Kellen Mond has now even responded to that and kind of come to a little bit of defense there. And it's kind of creating a schmoz, but that almost makes me feel like, okay, I know AJ and Brandon are tight. And if Brandon's saying this out there, I almost wonder, is AJ having those conversations with Brandon, be like, dude, this stuff is a mess over here. If I had the personnel I wanted, we would be winning games. I almost even wonder, Zach, remember, what was it last week? Not this past weekend, but the weekend before, when Wade Phillips and his wife may or may not be, getting, having a little bit of fun in the booth. But AJ Smith was up there too, remember? And we were watching, we were saying, well, that's a little strange that both coaches are up in the booth here. And I almost wonder if that has something to do with whatever it is that's going on. Huge blow for the Brahmas. Let's say that. Look, they didn't play pretty to open up the first 2 games. They got shut out in the championship. But AJ Smith has a proven track record. 3 games isn't going to define your career. But losing him 3 games into the season, 2 games into the season, rather, I don't know. That can't be a good sign for the Brahmas. right? That just can't be good for them. Maybe they'll get as lucky as DC, where they're just, who knows? Maybe they'll lose Greg Williams and DC will get even better, right? That seems to be they lost their head coach and they outperformed anybody's expectations so far. But yeah, I don't know. It feels like there's a story behind the scenes. It doesn't feel like a clean breakup. From what I understand, this happened Wednesday morning, the day that we're recording this, in a letter that he sent out to players. And it was just, here it is, I'm walking away.
Yeah, it's too bad, and again, it's not that, I don't know. It's not that I don't feel like this system is fully waned. Yes, I've had on ATU, I've been like, maybe people are figuring it out, but like, it feels kind of strange that, the choice is now, like it's almost like, to me, the worry of maybe the stock of his coaching status in a way, you have three, again, you have a bad championship performance where you have your offense that, while had been pretty successful during the season, got shut out, and then you come in, and yeah, personnel is a big deal, but many of us felt that Kellen Mond and company, you had a lot of returning stars in that offense who changed out the quarterback, and it felt like, it was just going to be coming down to who can fill in that space and run at very, to me, college-friendly offense, and it is not really, really hasn't manifested itself yet. They are getting yards, but they're not finishing drives, they're not being efficient with drives, and it's really been burning them. So, if it's really about personnel, which, honestly, I kind of feel like we're in speculation zone territory with this at this point, I could maybe see that. We've had to talk about a little bit on, okay, where does the coaching dynamic of the league change from these veteran, well-known coaches to having the younger guys or the guys that are kind of trying to use the space on the come-up-ins to have a little more say. I don't know if that's the whole case. If that is what's being talked about with Brandon Silvers, would be unfortunate if AJ Smith didn't have a say in personnel. And he's like, here, this is what we trust and you take it. And I don't know if we'll get the true answer to that, but I do know that I think when you're hearing a current player questioning a past player on system, I'm not sure it's a system issue because I feel like it's execution in that case. Maybe I'm wrong, but I would say the personnel is a little bit more of the side that if I was completely frustrated and given this stuff and going, you know what, screw it, this ain't working, I'm out. That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting nonetheless, but if you were hoping to hear of their replacement, we have some good news for you. Our man James Larson confirmed with head coach Wade Phillips on Wednesday that Peyton Pardee is going to be taking over as offensive coordinator for the team. He served as the team's wide receivers coach and special teams coordinator over the last couple of years, so he's at least aware of the players. It's not too dissimilar than what we've seen before. A shift happens, you move one of those coaches up into a position. We'll have to wait and see who Peyton Pardee's replacement's going to be, or if he just kind of tackles all of these roles, which, I mean, not unheard of in spring football to have multiple roles, but that's a wide array. Offensive coordinator, wide receiver, and special teams might be a lot for, I don't know, might be a lot for someone to handle, but we'll see. We'll definitely keep you updated, but it just doesn't feel like a good sign for the Brahmas. And we're going to talk about picks later, but as a Panthers fan, Zach, you're probably feeling pretty good about this weekend because you get to rebound against a team in disarray that has gone 0-2 and now has lost their offensive coordinator.
I mean, we'll definitely see. I think that, sometimes through adversity comes a bit of grit. So, I mean, I'm not going to fully dissuade that notion whatsoever, but it is a shame. But yeah, I mean, like I said, switching to Peyton Pardee, they're moving around pieces. Cody Latimer's coming in apparently, so they're bringing ex-Brahma to be the receiver tight end room coach, and then they're moving Jesse Thompson over to the special teams to take over for Peyton Pardee.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah,
you answered my question for me. Thank you.
This comes from 94.1 FM's The Blitz with Jason and Joe. It's a local radio show out that way. So yeah, definitely. And this was from Wade Phillips's mouth. So not me just spewing that because they're saying it. Wade was on the show to address some of those issues today. But yeah, through adversity, maybe you have a little bit more comeuppance. I mean, we still talk about the Fire coming from DC beating Birmingham and kind of that last minute switch, of having Harris take over in that position. And maybe that's what we see here. But, right now, again, it's a shame to see a guy that's well established like AJ stepping out of this league. Because a lot of us in this space, we like guys. It's like, oh yeah, he's definitely, he's sitting there. He's ready for a position to take over as a head coach. We just need to, someone who is on the older sides, maybe the heir apparent waiting to move on. And I don't know how much longer Wade Phillips had, but a lot of us felt that he's kind of ready. Like he was that next guy. So it's just an even bigger blow when you consider that was the heir apparent to many of our own minds, and we might not see that now.
Yeah, it's a damn shame. It'll be interesting to see. We talked about this last week. The league is talking about expansion. We seemingly got confirmed last week that they're going to at least attempt two teams next year. We'll see.
Yeah,
To me,
I don't know. He's been pretty active.
We'll see. But he might step away. But if I was the UFL and I do expand, I mean, there's a few guys that I have in mind that should be moved into that head coaching position, and he would be one of them. Yeah. So whether he stepped away, I still think it's worth a try, or at least trying to extend the olive branch, whatever the situation is, into saying, hey, whatever happened here, it happened. But hey, we have this new team. You can build whatever you want. You pick the players, you pick the personnel, you pick you name it, you got it within reason, right? You're not going to be like a 2023 XFL Arlington Renegade staff where you have remember they had dual wide receiver coaches, dual offense, plus.
I can't believe they had dual offensive and defensive coordinators. That is insanity that roster was. I mean, again, I don't mind if for job opportunities, that's fine. It's just, it's crazy to look back and see that in a space like this, you had dual coordinators in two spots. Wild stuff. But those days are definitely, as we've talked, maybe a little bit behind us. Who knows? Maybe you might see AJ pop up somewhere else. Because I'm not sure. We aren't in his head right now. All we know is speculative wise. We think maybe he needs a break from some of the bad taste in his mouth the last 3 contests or so in the offseason. But wish him the best. Hopefully we see him again in this space soon, because he does have some great ideas in the space, definitely. And he's one of the better air raid coaches. So time will tell. Meanwhile, one of the veteran guys we were talking about, so this ain't the only coaching news today. This was the bigger one that dropped. But the other one, you kind of sit here and you think a little bit, this ain't too shocking, but also, damn, we were kind of hoping that he would finish out the year before heading over with Reggie Barlow like they had discussed. And so Greg Williams, the DC Defenders defensive coordinator, has been getting a ton of praise the last few weeks for incredible performances and game plan against opponents. He is now stepping away to go and get ready for Tennessee State's season, which, is a bit of a blow. However, in this news, I do find that you should see similar vision. His son, Blake Williams, is going to be taking over as a defensive coordinator. It's someone that I think has been looking for this potential opportunity, by the way. And you can argue, well, wait a minute, his son's taking. No, hang on. This is still Greg's defense. It's going to be the same philosophies and whatnot. It's just they needed, I think, for stability's sake and continuing what they're doing, it's probably for the best at this moment. You maybe reevaluate the position at the end of the year, but thoughts on him moving on after saying that he wasn't going to move on? That's the part that sticks out to me and a lot of people.
I expected some of these guys to leave before the end of the season, whether they said they were going to or not. Did I expect maybe Greg Williams to do it? I don't know. I'm not so sure, but I'll even go as far as to say, I wouldn't doubt if another one of these coaches heads over to Tennessee State too before the end of the season, because let's be honest, Zach. Well, we talked about it last week, but ESPN, they brought it up on TV. Nobody really wants to be here. And let's be fair, let's not dig into that, because I do know what he meant by that. Look, there's an opportunity on the table, and you could sit and finish the season with the UFL, but there's a chance that opportunity doesn't wait for you. And that's kind of the reason that you're in the UFL, is to get that extra, that new opportunity, take that step forward, whether that be college, whether that be the NFL, whatever it is that you want that next step to be, really. Mm-hmm. And so you can't be mad at it. It's unfortunate. I'll say this, the coaching change didn't impact DC as much as, I think it positively impacted them somehow when it came to the head coach leaving. Well, you look at last season, And then you compare it to the 2-0 start this year. When they started the season against the Stallions, nobody gave them a shot. Nobody really thought they were going to go 2-0. Here we are. Now you lose your defensive coordinator. I don't think it's going to be great, but it is his son. If anybody's going to know how Greg Williams was running that defense, it's probably his son, who's probably picked up every little thing. His dad probably coached him when he was younger. He's coaching alongside with him. So to me, I think AJ Smith walking away is going to have a much larger impact to the Brahmas than this is going to have to the Defenders. But it's still not great. It's just, well, a couple things. One, as the UFL, they're sitting around and probably not greatly pleased with this. Although,
I didn't think so.
It's just the way of life. But this season has just been a little coaching mess from the very beginning. And we're not even 3 weeks in. We had, Ken Wisenhunt step down and then come back. And then we have AJ Smith step down and Greg Williams step down. So is next week, is AJ Smith going to come back? Is one of them going to come back and be like, actually, which AJ, bro, if you want to come to Houston, I'm sure they would find a spot for you. I'm just saying, putting it out there.
You know what? What's amazing is, and again, it's probably because, who would you fill it? But CJ Johnson continuing to survive the craziness and stand atop the mountain being like, look at me.
We're going to talk about CJ. You know what? I got positive thoughts about my man CJ and his iPad. I was fully on board with Dark Ref for the rest of the season, 0-10. Man, he's a genius. We'll talk about that soon.
Almost brought you back in.
He did bring me back in, Zachy boy. He knew exactly what I wanted, and he got it for me. And he did it despite you.
Wait. So on ATU, you said you were fully fine with 0-10. So now you've changed in the span of a few days?
Because he actually did something. One, he slighted you, Zach.
Well, okay. Fair.
That's one. One. He said, okay, ref, I gotta reel him back in. He watched ATU this Monday on his iPad. He's sitting there in his house watching it, and he heard me, and he saw the lights doing whatever they were doing. He said, I gotta solve this. That's our fan.
Okay.
I like the ref. He's a nice guy. I can't do him like that. And so he got on the phone. I don't know what he said to Mike Nolan. It may have been a threat. It was probably a threat. He probably threatened him. And they're in the hub. Who knows what? He probably slid a note under his door and said, if you don't accept this trade, I'll let you fill in the dots. What Curtis Johnson would have put in there, but it would have been ruthless. And he probably had that picture of him and SpongeBob attached to it. So he knew CJ means business, bro. And so boom, breaking, flipping news. Marcus Sims to the Roughnecks for Cam Carter. Zach, best trade of the year. Am I right?
Oh, totally. For you, it's wondrous. Although I have been justifying this trade as best as I can, but oh my God, they let go a fantastic weapon. I know that the Panthers have a very solid group of receivers, but you let go of the most explosive guy. You let go of the one with the most potential to explode on any play. Because Zachy boy, it's time. It's time for the reversal. They had to reel me back in. Shh, come back, ref. Shh. And here it all starts this weekend, which is unfortunate because I really wanted the Showboats to win. I thought the Showboats were going to win. I was dead set on 0-10. But come on, Zachy boy. Now it's 10-0, which makes even more sense. Who wants 12-0? What an ugly number, 12. Ugh. Okay.
10, nice and clean. 10-0, baby. Let's go. Rough them up. Drill, baby. Drill.
You are back.
Oh, dude.
That won't be that
so
long,
good.
Though. It won't be for long. That's the only downside of this whole thing.
Oh, it's going to be for long.
What's going to be for long?
Me being like this endlessly, win after win after win after win after win. Dude, you name it. It doesn't matter who's throwing the ball. Anthony Brown, he's going to make a mistake and somehow it's getting caught and it's resulting in a touchdown.
A story.
Fumble, touchdown. You name it.
As old as time. A story as old as time. The ref getting hyped up.
You'll see it this weekend.
All right. Well, we'll find out because EJ Perry has had some success against Houston in the past. Just going to say it, Good luck. Mm-hmm. Good luck. Here's my analysis on the opposite part of this because they traded for Cam Carter, an offensive tackle for Michigan. They do. In the last few years, we have talked, me and especially Jake Ball, about the security of the pass rush and trying to protect in the pass. They definitely can generate run game. It's just that need good tackles, and they have not been able to find that solution. Cam Carter, through recent spring seasons, has played above average for that position and has at times played as the best of the said week in previous weeks at the said position. So you are getting, in a way, hopefully, a little bit of an upgrade at that spot. The thing is, though, who steps up and who is the definitive number one? Is it going to be COC Mariner in my eyes, which I think it could be? Do they give Samson Nakua a few more reps? Are we going to lean in more on the tight ends? We'll find out. But I think that's what they're banking on. Is they saw, I think, for how many sacks and pressures they were giving up, especially against Birmingham, and I think that was the panic mode, was going, okay, we have a roster that can win, but that was one thing we felt that, Bryce Perkins and Danny Etling weren't comfortable with, was that pass rush. I think that's justification. There was also something coming out that Marcus Sims' injury history might be played into this with how they decided to make this move. I mean, I'll be fair for you, Stefan. You guys do need, and as much as it does kill me because I do like some receivers on Houston's roster, those guys haven't been performing as needed. I mean, we're talking about last week, a winnable game that gets dropped by usually very sure-handed EJ Butler. And, someone like a Marcus Sims maybe makes that catch or maybe allows for Anthony Brown to find someone more open. I think that's the logic. But can they find him in the passing game? That's what the other side of the coin is.
They're going to find a way. The answer is always yes here. And I'll say this. I've seen some people online trying to compare this to the Luka trade. But again, I think this is an amazing trade. I don't see that at all. With the Luka trade, oh my God, just so one-sided, and the Mavs got screwed. But no. Here the Roughnecks won out so well that, no, this is a perfect trade. We need many more trades. CJ Johnson, my man, I knew you had it in you, dude. You've had this up in your notepad, up in your iPad, up in the iPad cloud. Why didn't you share it with me sooner? These are the things that Magic are made of, Zach. 10-0. 10-0. 10-0.
You know what?
10-0.
I'm gonna admit something here. As much as it has killed me in the past to hear you say 10-0, I'd rather have this version of the ref than a let's lose everything.
Well, we'll see who shows up next week.
I'll at least give you that. It's a little more optimistic than hearing, yep, throw it in the towel. Get it. My favorite season is the Detroit Lions 08 season. I want that now. Doing the same thing in 2024-5.
I'll tell you, if they lose again this week, it might flip back really quick, dude.
The lights are going to flicker, and I will see a man possessed coming and returning.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I want
no dark ref episode 100, by the way. He needs to stay away. I'm glad this version is here.
Me too. I have no control over it, Zach. That dude just shows up whenever he wants. I'm like, I just black out for a little bit, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, did I blink or what was I talking about? I don't even know. But dude, CJ, he's keeping the boogeyman away from me this week. I'm telling you, he was reading all those. You should see the things I send him. It's like
what you send him.
Love letters, hate letters, angry letters. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. And this weekend I sent him, I put on some lipstick, kissed a napkin, took a picture of it, sent it to him, said, this one's for you, CJ. There's more if you get more trades like this.
This is Adam Sandler in Daddy's Boy or whatever, where it's like, I'm so angry at you. How did you do this to me? I'm sorry, baby. I didn't mean it. Please come on back. Please come on. How dare you throw that play? How dare you not catch? I'm sorry, baby. I don't mean to yell. I just get frustrated sometimes. This is you. This is you.
Yep.
Right? You are Adam Sandler right now.
Dude, CJ, winning my heart back so quick, so fast. You saw it, like record turnaround time.
With
and
breakneck speed.
Dude, this Saturday is when we're turning it all around. And it's a shame. It's a shame because I'm not even going to change it, Zach. I'm going to put we're going to get to the picks. But, we're doing the weekly staff picks for Newsroom that we're going to be having a graphic for every week. No joke. I filled that thing out so early, and I picked the Showboats. I did it like Monday. As soon as that list, I said, I am not rooting I'm not picking the Roughnecks. Screw you. 0-10, sign us out. And look, and you know what? I'm not going to undo it. I think that's going to be part of the reason I win. We win. 10-0 win.
It's going to be, you have a ref's law within the ref's law. Is that what I'm hearing?
Dude, just wait to all the layers of ref's law. Like I said, I didn't know there was a name for the ref's law when we both lose. But this year, after all of these like weird happenings, it's dark ref's law.
Dark ref's law.
Ref's law is when one team wins and the other team loses. Dark ref's law, we both lose. The unfortunate thing is we still just can't, for the love of God, both of our teams win in a single weekend.
Still ain't happening yet. But I also say CJ's got to pick up the slack here, my guy. It's not that Mike Nolan ain't doing it. He just can't do it against Birmingham. That's the only thing. That Stallions logo shows up on the schedule sheet, and all logic gets thrown out the door. That's the only downside.
Zach, I just figured it out. This is the episode 100 luck. I think we could break ref's law this week, buddy. We're going to get into picks. We still have another transaction here.
Okay.
Did we talk? No, we did talk about this.
Well, we didn't talk about. I actually didn't talk about this transaction.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Let's jump into that. And then let's get into picks.
There's a little more sadness. And you know what? Full disclosure, Brahma's also beaten the Panthers all time. And so, yeah, maybe hopefully logic ain't thrown out the door this week too. What will not help, though, even with certain changes for the Brahmas, is losing your two-time defensive player of the year at this point now. Breland Speaks. He is out for, at least on IR, which is implying, at least it doesn't seem like he's going to be back yet anytime soon. Which, by the way, two major ones on IR this week is Alex Magoo also was going on IR. That was recently announced as well. So now Matt Corral is going to get the start there for sure. But yeah, rough go, especially for those two teams. At least Birmingham, you got 3 deep on those pass rushers that you need. Michigan, though, massive blow. Even if Breland hasn't really been getting back to the QB, pressures are a big deal, and he brings a lot of pressures and gets QBs riled up. So damn shame there. You're going to have to see a lot of other guys on that front and maybe some more creative blitzes to compensate. But too bad, because also stars. You don't like seeing stars go out for the year. I saw Frank Gindel go out last year and have to be out multiple weeks. It sucks that Speaks might be out multiple, if not the entire season. Got to evaluate how the IR goes for him.
Yeah. Now, it's a tough blow for your team. The way things are going, I still think the Panthers still have a good shot of making the playoffs. So it could be a situation where maybe Breland Speaks missed most of the season, but he comes back either late season or for the playoffs, tries to kind of give you that extra boost. We've seen, I think, things like that happen in the spring leagues before. Yeah. I mean, we've seen it in the NFL, of course. The longer season, it makes it a little bit easier. But yeah, it's still, man, you guys, you got a little bit of a bamboozle going into this week. But as we talk about the picks here in a little bit, you at least have something going for you in that you're playing a team that just lost their offensive coordinator and is coming off I'll say a 2-game losing streak, but really a 3-game if you want to go as back as the championship, although I don't think that's fair. 2-game losing streak, recent losing streak. But Zach, I think you mentioned too, is like sometimes those are the things that kind of put the team over the top, a little bit of grit, a little bit of, okay, no, we're not going out like this. We'll see. We're let's jump into the picks. And I'm not going to jump to that game. We'll just start at the first one. We have the Renegades and the Stallions. First home game for the Stallions here. I'm hoping to see a good crowd. I know people are getting fired up and amped about it. I've been seeing our man Luke from State of the Stallions getting people rowdy and riled up. I'm excited to see the shirtless end zone. I know there was some talk that might not return this year, but no. It's coming back. It's coming back. Fans are making it happen. We just need Cole Kubelik out there to he needs to make it happen too.
He's got to add on to it, onto the experience. Absolutely.
Well, I mean, it was being teased all last season, Zachy boy. It feels like he was out there on the sidelines teasing it, and it just never happened. This is the year. Shirtless fans, don't let them get away with it, and don't tell them the ref said to do it. No, I won't say that. Nah, jump over the thing and take off his shirt. He won't mind.
Jump in.
And hell yeah, tell him the ref sent you.
This one you might actually have to ask Brock Heward though, because it's a Fox Friday night broadcast.
Oh, well.
Yeah, he might get the first crack at it if he's bold enough to do it. Well, actually, no, I take that back because it's not even Brock. It'd be Jenny Taft. No, we don't want to jump into that weirdness there.
Well, I would let Gabe weigh in on that from our Discord. I think Gabe from our Discord would say otherwise, and that he would be perfectly fine for Jenny Taft to participate in the end zone rituals in Birmingham. I think there's probably a couple other people in our Discord that would agree. I'm not saying anything.
I'm just going to leave it at that.
Yes.
I'm just going to move on from that. Pick for you. Who you got?
Well, I'll tell you this, man. I went into last week thinking, wow, the Renegades really are bouncing back. They kept saying we're a new team, even though we have kind of the same players. And after week one, I said, you know what? Maybe there's something to this mindset because they did play like a new team. Mm-hmm. Week two, on the other hand, they barely beat my dog shit Roughnecks. They barely did it. In a piss poor game, they had really no action until the fourth quarter. And so you could argue, well, the Stallions, they didn't really play that great in week one. You could also add into the mix, Alex Magoo's out. But Corral's no slouch. He was here. He was here last year. He was there when they beat the Renegades in the first game of the season last year, in fact. And so when I put those two things together, it just feels like another opportunity for the Stallions to continue rebounding, right? Mm-hmm. Skip is mad about losing week one.
Yeah.
That there's a good amount of players, if not all of the players, that are angry about losing week one. And just because they got the win last weekend doesn't mean that they're done being upset. And you know what? Put another little chip on the shoulder because you lost Magoo, which, if I will add, it feels like there's a little bit of a curse in Birmingham when it comes out to season starting quarterbacks.
Yes.
We didn't really see too much of it last year, but if you look at USFL season 1, boom, injury. USFL season 2, boom, injury. And now we are of UFL season 2, first game of the season, injury. And the one thing I can say about every other time that they've had not just a quarterback injury last year was an anomaly in the number of injuries they had, they still won the damn championship. Right. And so I'm pretty definitive in my answer that I think the Stallions are going to win this. I hope they win it too. They have their first home game, and I want to see the Stallions win because I want more people to show up these damn Stallions games in Birmingham, and a win, well, those things help. Might be crazy, Zach, but they do help.
I mean, they do usually help, yeah, without a doubt. Shirtless section will go hard. No one's gonna like my pick though. I'm picking Arlington.
Oh my God!
I'm picking Arlington.
Tell me more.
I am sold that I think that was playing down your opponent last week. I think that Luis Perez and crew with that veteran offense can take advantage of Birmingham, and I also want to believe that. I think Arlington's defense is not getting enough credit. I want to see how the Stallions tackle that because right now, I know it's early season. I've been always iffy about Matt Corral. I think he is serviceable and he is good to get a spark. We'll find out how he is with people getting a full week of film on him. And I also think Arlington has changed a different leaf. Yes, that performance was weak. It was definitely against Houston. It's going to get judged. But I'm standing up for the 2-0 team that, to me, I still believe has the most cohesion on the offensive side of the ball, to where I think it's going to be a fun game. Arlington was in pretty much damn near every game last year. Can they finish the deal, which they didn't last year against the Stallions in a pretty good game itself? I think this time they can. And I think it's going to make a lot of people stirred up a little bit. Personally, I also am going to put in an extra bit that I believe we see Case Cookis hit the field in this one.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting.
I am doubling down on that. Neither happened. Well, I'll have fun talking on Monday about it, but I've got Arlington. I'm going to stick with the Renegades.
Well, I'll tell you this, Zach. There's one thing that's for sure. I think we're going to learn who the real Renegades are this weekend. Are they a team that can hang with the big boys, or are they a team that got lucky playing the Brahmas in week 1 and the Roughnecks in week 2, and then all of a sudden hits a big brick wall in the form of real competition?
Yeah.
I think that's what's going to happen.
We're going to find out really quick.
I hope it's competitive. I really do. I want, especially because I do think I love the Friday night format. I wasn't so sure how much I would like it, but I do like it. You kind of get a little bit of after dark feel out of it. Sometimes you get a great game, sometimes a little bit of wonkiness. But I think this one's going to be a fun game to watch. I do think it's going to be close. I don't think it's going to be a complete blowout, but we are going to learn who this Renegades team is. And to a certain extent, we may learn who the Stallions team is.
We may.
Moving to Saturday, first game of the day, which I have all sorts of thoughts about this one. Roughnecks at the Showboats. And now I mentioned earlier in this week, prior to CJ Johnson putting the entire spring football world on notice with the greatest trade known to spring football man.
Sure.
I said, there's no way. 0-10. I hate this team. I hope they lose every game. And quite frankly, I just want the Showboats to win for all sorts of different reasons. But now I look at this trade and I say, I think I know what's going on here. CJ is playing a little bit of rope-a-dope, right? Wearing the other teams out. All of these teams have been spending all of their effort on the first 2 weeks to crack the case. Let's pull out the magnifying glass, Sacky boy. Oh, wow, look at the Roughnecks. They suck. They stink. They did such a good job of convincing the league that how bad they were. They even convinced me. They even had me out here spreading misinformation about how bad, piss poor, stinky, poo-poo this Roughnecks team was, only for the ruse to be uncovered, only for the shield, whatever you want to call it, to be raised away from my eyes.
What?
And the truth be pointed out, not just to me, but to the world, was such an amazing trade that's going to have amazing, spectacular, game-changing outcomes on the field. I got to go Roughnecks 10-0, baby.
Wow.
Rough them up. Drill, baby, drill. Let's go.
The changes in added, whatever. I was trying to be funny with trying to be funny with Jimmy Buffett's song there, but no, I'm not going to do it. Okay, cool. That's fair. I guess. Sure, you finished 2-point loss against Arlington. Anthony Brown can't get in. EJ Butler can't catch a well-placed football on a 4th and 12. I'll give you that. I see and raise you though. A defense on Memphis that's been playing pretty good against some higher tier opponents. And I also raise you Ken Wisenhunt, who is back for his second week under that offense. We have talks about quarterback. I feel AJ Perry's been pretty serviceable. Sans a pretty damning pick early on in that half. I don't see Houston walking away with this one, my friend. I just don't.
You're right. They won't be walking away. They're going to be dancing away with it, Zach. They're going to be like, we win, we win. That's what we're going to be doing after the game. It's going to be amazing. You're right. We won't be walking away with it.
The only dancing that's going to happen is probably Ken Wisenhunt throwing it back after he gets a double.
I'll tell you this, dude. If Ken Wisenhunt does drop a little bit down there, goes a little low, Yeah, I think he does pull it in. That's the only thing, though. If he drops it like it's hot, I am fearful that the Roughnecks are not pulling it out. But I don't think he's going to do it. I don't think he's got the Todd Haley in him.
Give me Memphis. I can't pick Houston. Again, I know what you're thinking's happening, but I look at the man. I look at the man with the iPad. That's all I got to say. And my excuse anymore is man with the iPad. Roster not executing. I don't see it. So
see, here's what you don't know. Skype, Skype, they're shutting Skype down.
Okay.
It's not, we still have like a couple more weeks. And so I can still get on Skype and get on CJ Johnson iPad during the game and be like, bro, here's what we need to do. Run the play, put out Sims. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is. I don't know. Put anybody out there. And you know, he's going to put out there himself. It's going to be amazing too. He's not going to wear pads, khakis and all.
This is masterclass levels of ref today. This is what I needed for
episode 100, baby.
Masterclass. Moving on, Brahmas and Panthers coming up. That would be on the Sunday for the 13th. Panthers hosting Brahmas, as we talked about, losing their offensive coordinator, going to be switching to Peyton Party after AJ Smith walks away. Yeah, I mean, I'll lead off this one. Even with Breland Speaks going on IR and the Marcus Smith trade, I'm going to go with Michigan. I think even if you want to talk maybe the change in coaching personnel, I'm not 100% sold that San Antonio's defense is up to snuff for what last year's used to be. And I think that's also holding them back because they do need, as we've seen with Wade Phillips, they need that defense to generate stops that allows their offense to get good field position and kind of capitalize. And this year, it's just not been happening. Yes, they've actually been getting reasonably good yards. They're apparently, last I checked, was third in total yardage. But that being said, you got to consider garbage time for 2 games. And most of the time, it's just not been performant. Like I said, players have not been able to execute on catches. Kellen Mond's feeling skittish when he's been behind center. I don't buy it. Even with the changes, I can't buy it. Give me Michigan. And for the love of God, Mike Nolan, please, for the love of God, just stay with Bryce Perkins. What the hell are you doing, man? You are torturing me and everyone else. Just pick Bryce. Stop playing around.
I love it. Well, I think even when I was watching the game last week, I'm pretty sure the announcers brought up that Mike Nolan is going to use both quarterbacks in the game. And I said, oh, Zach's probably so angry right now.
There's no reason now. There's no reason. Don't play Danny Etling unless you need to put him in, which you don't need to unless Bryce is out. Just stick with Bryce. Stick with Bryce.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the situation is there, but you know what, Zach? It's hard for me to disagree with you, and I am going to add into the fact, or at least agree with you, that I think the coaching change for the Brahmas is going to have a pretty decent impact on this team that was already struggling to kind of fire on all cylinders when it comes to offense. Mm-hmm. And so when you have a struggling offense and then you lose your offensive coordinator, I don't know if you're really going to get the injection that you want unless you had somebody maybe of like an outside perspective come in. But it's not like somebody that's, this guy's been on the team. He's been coaching on the team. So what is he going to say that's different to these guys that's going to make them execute over what AJ Smith was telling them, who is, we mentioned, has a proven track record when it comes to spring football. 5-0 with the Roughnecks in 2020. Started out the season 4-0 with the Roughnecks in 2023. He went to the championship with the Brahmas in 2024.
Yeah.
Right. And so, he had a little rough start this season. But when you take him out of the mix, I do think you get a big impact there. And so unless it is something, which these things you can't control, and I think it's partially the reason we're seeing DC perform the way they are, if the players get the right chip on their shoulder, anything is possible. But I don't know. I just don't see it out of that team. From what I've seen out of the first 2 weeks, they struggled kind of everywhere that you would need them to maximize. And this just feels like a good opportunity for the Panthers to come off a tough loss, get back on the winning side of the column, get above 500 and move on with their day and continue towards the playoffs.
If Michigan's smart, they'll stick with the run game, because the San Antonio front is not the same as last year's. It's been getting blown off the ball in both losses. And while the Panthers are not really cream of the crop, top of the level, like say a St. Louis has been, or even how Arlington did in week 1 with Kalen Ballage, they have some good talents in Nate McCreary and Matt Colburn, who should be starting more, by the way, to where they can probably move them around. So that's my thing is, can you get anything defensively to slow down Michigan? Because, it's not that they haven't been able to put yards. They just get behind so quickly. And then when they get stops, they have no defense right now that's the same as this Wade Phillips unit from last year. Just throws you off. This team relies so much on having stops, creating turnovers, then creating offense via that. It's hard to say that I buy it right now. So I wish luck to Peyton Party. If he impresses, I'll be talking a ton about him this coming week. But right now, hard task.
Yeah. Now I'll tell you this, final game of the weekend, Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern, Defenders traveling to St. Louis to take on the Battlehawks. I think this is the week that DC gets exposed. I think this is the week that they're not coming out with the win. And it pains me a little bit to say it, and I said it on ATU, Battlehawks are the team to beat right now. The Battlehawks, I mean, with their running game, that running game alone, if Jacob Saylor stays healthy, we're looking at MVP candidate, early season MVP candidate. Granted, we have 8 more games to go. So a lot can change, and we've seen things like this change. But if this dude continues to play like this, 3 touchdowns alone last week, plus a 2-point conversion. Alone, he won that game, right? And none of the other points would have even mattered. Now we're going to DC, who's had some wins, close wins, lucky wins, maybe in some instances when it, either way you want to look at it. I don't know. I don't see them being able to surpass the Battlehawks on the road, especially. And so that's the other thing that DC had as a luxury is their first 2 games of the season at home. And even with a small crowd in DC, they're rowdy. They're loud. You can hear it on TV. The stadium looks half empty, and you still hear a crowd.
Got good acoustics. I mean, that's the thing. That's what's great about Audi Field. It reverberates sound very well to create the distractions you need. Even if it's not a full stadium. 13,000 last game. So I mean, that still is pretty damn good, and that still is going to be very freaking loud on television. And that's also saying, given that, and I've talked about this, we're talking about ABC broadcasts, which are notoriously, like ABC, ESPN, they're notoriously bad at mixing audio with UFL games. DC shines when it comes to like being one of the 2 fan bases. They just seem to let it fully go out. And so that it'll stand out. But St. Louis, I think everyone's looking at St. Louis as, they want to know if this is legit. Is this the team that will finally put it all together and can possibly bring them to the promised land of having a championship berth? 2 very dominant wins, yes, against lower tier opponents, but as we talked, you take care of low tier opponents. You basically put your stamp on it. Good teams do that. Now you get to play a team that, while I will say till the end of the earth, I don't buy DC's offense one bit. I think it's way too inefficient, but that defensive side, even with Greg leaving and his son Blake coming in, that's going to be the test ultimately of what happens with St. Louis. Can Manny Wilkins prove that it's not just been weak defenses he's been playing, and that he can deliver in the passing game? And can they continue to generate the run with the RPO via Wilkins or Jacob Saylors that they were able to do in previous games? DC's got a legitimate front 7 that can swallow up run defense. So that's the biggest challenge will be, can they find any room? And is Manny Wilkins taking that true step? This will be the game, I think, that proves if Manny has made that step or not. In that, he will find ways to scramble. DC's been allowing that either with Alex Magoo or EJ Perry, but I don't know if they'll have as many opportunities. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think Wilkins will get challenged in the passing game a ton. I still believe that this is the team, though. So I got to go with St. Louis, though. Again, I also have to say that Battlehawks defense does not get enough credit. It's a lot of veterans that return that are guys that are studs, and their defense has, under Anthony Becht, has still been consistently one of the better ones in the league with Becht. So I just don't buy DC offensively. This isn't 2023 Abram Smith. This ain't Jordan Ta'amu of really, I guess, 2020, maybe 2022 if you want to look at the numbers he put up with the Bandits. But like, I guess 2023 be it. He's not been efficient. I don't see the efficiency or the vision with that offense. Maybe this changes, but it's one of the tougher opponents you're going to get. So good luck. I got to go with St. Louis at home. If DC impresses, though, I'll stop the slander because clearly I have nothing else to stand on after this week if that happens.
Yeah, well, it's funny, right? This is a big week for a lot of teams. So we talked about, well, even the first game of the week. I think this is a big week for both of them, the Renegades and the Stallions. It's an opportunity for them to prove, yep, we are the team, kind of on both sides of it. Different reasons, funny enough.
Oh yeah.
You looked at game 2, almost the same thing for the exact opposite reasons. Both these teams are searching for a win. One of them's coming out with a win. One of them's continuing down a path that no team wants to be a part of. You have the Brahmas and the Panthers, where you have a little bit of coaching change. You have a talent change over on the Panthers. So there's a little bit of interesting dilemma there.
Yep.
And then you have the Defenders, who have won against all odds, I'd say, when people didn't really have a lot of maybe stock in this team early in the season, started 2-0. But again, they both really have a chance to prove themselves. All these teams have something on the line. And for a week 3 game, I'd say that's nice. That's nice to have things matter this early in the season for, rather than we look to, there's been a lot of the seasons where Stallions clinch that playoffs spot early. This year, seems like there's going to be a little bit of a competition for these spots coming down the stretch. And I'm looking forward to that.
The XFL conference alone is so, honestly, I think it's going to be very competitive all the way down to the wire. DC, I can see them. They can go back, and I think see St. Louis splitting the series here. I think, to me, Arlington, this will be a statement game on how legit we can see them possibly challenging for a playoff spot. The USFL side definitely has more questions. And honestly, if the Panthers lose to the Brahmas off of a bad week, or just not having stuff together, and say the Showboats do walk away and, to me, get that win against Houston, well, the dynamics change back a little bit, where we're fighting for the second spot a little bit more. But it feels like the XFL conference, again, like last year, is going to be kind of wide open. It's going to be 3 teams vying for that spot until the bitter end. Maybe things change this week, the USFL conference, but I'm not sold yet. I'm not afraid. I'm not sold yet.
Yeah. Well, at least it's another fun week coming up, and we have a whole bunch more fun weeks still ahead of us. And we're at episode 100. So, by the end of this season, who knows where we'll be. And then ATUs every Monday, and then summer stocks coming up. Man, we got so much fun ahead of us. I'm just looking forward to the Roughnecks finally getting on the winning side of things. It's just going to be so good. You wait, Zach. You wait. Once it's 1-0, then 2-0, then 3-0. It's nonstop. I was wrong. It was a 2-game preseason. Who would have knew? Who would have thunk it? CJ, man, what a genius he is. He got everybody thinking this team is a pushover. And then this week, that all changes.
Okay.
The world's about to be on notice. Rough them up.
About to find out real quick, but okay. Not bad. Any other final thoughts with episode 100? Again, thanks to all that have tuned in for these episodes through 100 plus, if you want to count the live streams. Really, you guys are awesome. And there are tons of dedicated people that we've met through this that we're glad to have met. So, yeah, appreciate it all the same. Can't say that enough. More ahead. So much more ahead, I think.
Hell yeah. Yeah. No, and I'll echo that and say thank you, everybody, for joining us along the journey. And if for whatever reason you joined us along the journey and you haven't subscribed, what a great opportunity to do it. It's episode 100. Subscribe, click the bell. It builds morale. It lets you know when we go live, just like every Monday. It lets you know when we go live, just like spring stock and summer stock. And it also lets you know when new episodes of this little silly show pop up on that little old silly thing called YouTube. So get signed up over there. Do it. And like the video. It's free.
Yeah.
Bastards.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, be sure to follow, without a doubt, follow us at USFL or UFL Podcast. Jesus, throwing a throwback there. At UFL Podcast on favorite platforms. Check us out. ATU Mondays around the UFL, 6:00 Eastern time. Again, now this show, we don't have ATU, I would say. So that's just continuing the legacy, honestly. And we hope to see some of you in the chat as well. Also, feel free, drop a comment, like it as we were talking. helps the show, helps us, and helps us keep doing these great things with spring football. Without your support and viewers, we might not be here. So thank you very much. For the ref, I'm Zach Heilman saying so long. For 100 more episodes ahead, we'll have it here at the UFL Podcast. Stay tuned, everyone. Have a great week at football. Catch you later.